For thousands of years, the great continents of our world lived in relative isolation. In Europe, people looked out at the vast, mysterious oceans and wondered what lay beyond the horizon. For a very long time, the world beyond their shores was a complete unknown, a place of myths and legends. Their maps were incomplete, showing vast empty spaces where we now know entire continents exist. This curiosity was a powerful force. It whispered of new lands, new peoples, and untold wonders. The desire to see what was over the next hill or across the next sea is a deeply human instinct, one that was about to change the world forever in a most dramatic fashion. The motivations for these epic journeys were as varied as the people who undertook them. For some, it was the lure of immense wealth. They heard stories of faraway lands filled with gold, silver, and precious spices like cinnamon and pepper, which were worth more than gold back home. For others, it was a quest for glory and adventure, a chance to become famous explorers and have their names written into the history books. And for many, there was a deep religious purpose. They believed it was their sacred duty to travel to new lands and share their faith with people who had never heard of it before. These powerful drivers, riches, fame, and faith, combined to push sailors and their small wooden ships into the vast, uncharted waters of the Atlantic. The journey itself was a tremendous challenge, a true test of human endurance and courage. The ships were small by our standards today, often tossed about violently by powerful ocean storms. Sailors had to live in cramped, difficult conditions for months on end, with limited food and fresh water. They faced the constant threat of disease, starvation, and the simple, terrifying possibility of getting lost and never returning home. Yet, they persevered, guided by the stars and their simple navigational tools. Each day brought them further from the familiar world they knew and closer to a destiny that would reshape the entire planet and the lives of all its inhabitants. This era, which we now call the Age of Exploration, was a pivotal moment in the story of humanity. It was born from a potent mix of curiosity, ambition, and technological progress. New ship designs, like the Caravel, were faster and more resilient, capable of sailing against the wind. Improved navigation tools, such as the compass and the astrolabe, allowed sailors to chart their course with greater accuracy than ever before. This combination of human will and clever invention unlocked the oceans, turning them from impassable barriers into highways that would soon connect every corner of our world, for better and for worse. Imagine the moment of first contact. European ships, their great white sails catching the wind, appear as tiny specks on the horizon of a new continent. For the people living in the Americas, Africa, and Asia, who had inhabited these lands for countless generations, it must have been an astonishing sight. They saw people with different skin, different clothes, and speaking languages they could not comprehend. These initial encounters were often filled with a sense of wonder and curiosity on both sides. In many places, local people welcomed the newcomers, offering them food and gifts, eager to understand who these strange visitors were and where they had come from on their magnificent floating vessels. The first major voyages set a course for history. Explorers like Christopher Columbus, sailing for Spain, crossed the Atlantic in 1492 and arrived in the Americas, a new world to the Europeans, though it was a very old world to the millions already living there. Soon after, Vasco da Gama from Portugal sailed around the southern tip of Africa and reached the rich trading ports of India. These journeys opened up new sea routes, and soon, ships from Spain, Portugal, England, France, and the Netherlands were sailing to nearly every part of the globe. They established small trading posts and colonies along the coasts of Africa, Asia, and throughout the Americas. In the Americas, great civilizations like the Aztecs and the Incas had built magnificent cities and complex societies. Their worlds were rich with unique traditions, art, and knowledge of the natural world. When the Europeans arrived, led by figures like Hernán Cortés and Francisco Pizarro, these two worlds collided with dramatic force. The Europeans brought with them technologies that were completely new to the Americas, such as steel weapons, cannons, and horses, which could be used as powerful animals in battle. This technological advantage would play a crucial role in the conflicts that were soon to unfold across these ancient lands. The story was different in other parts of the world, but the pattern of arrival was often similar. In Africa, Europeans established trading posts along the coast to trade for gold, ivory, and tragically, for enslaved people. In Asia, they sought to control the lucrative spice trade, muscling their way into ancient networks that had existed for centuries. Each encounter was unique, shaped by the local cultures and the specific goals of the European powers. But everywhere they went, their arrival marked the beginning of a profound and irreversible transformation, setting in motion a chain of events that would be felt for generations to come. The meeting of these once separate worlds started a massive exchange, one that would change what people ate, how they lived, and even the landscape itself. From the Americas, Europeans brought back crops that would transform diets across the globe. Imagine Italian food without tomatoes, or Irish history without the potato. These, along with maize or corn, peanuts, and vanilla, all traveled eastward to Europe, Africa, and Asia. These new foods were often easy to grow and very nutritious, helping populations to expand. In return, Europeans introduced wheat, sugarcane, and coffee to the Americas, creating vast new plantations to grow these valuable cash crops. It wasn't just plants that made the journey across the oceans. Animals were also part of this great exchange. The Europeans brought horses, cattle, sheep, and pigs to the Americas. For the indigenous peoples, the horse was a revolutionary arrival. It transformed hunting, travel, and warfare, especially for the peoples of the North American plains. Cattle and sheep provided new sources of food, wool, and leather. However, these new animals also had a huge impact on the environment.